Bye, 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 bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Hello, Jody Raynsford. Hello, listener. Welcome to Bad Boy Running.
Hello, David Hellard. Hello, listener and or viewer.
Indeed. How you doing?
I'm all right. It's got to the stage. We were just talking before, and of course, I've got another chiropractic appointment. It gets to the point. When you're like your first hurt, and then you go to the chiropractor, and they do all the cracking and stuff like that, and you're like, oh yeah, that feels a bit better. That feels a bit better now. And you get to the stage where you're like, I don't really know what they're doing at this point. Like, they put things underneath things. And they kind of leave you there for a bit, and you're like, just have you run out of the cracking stuff now? Because I feel okay. I still, he's still like, all right, you're gonna leave it for a few weeks before you do any exercise and stuff like that. So I am feeling that yearning to do some kind of exercise.
So you still can't run?
Yeah, I still can't run. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that when I went. I obviously didn't listen to what he was saying to me. But when we went to Salcombe for half term, I took my running stuff with me, and then just didn't go running. Classic thing like that. But yeah, I wasn't supposed to run. So I adhered to his advice out of sheer laziness, rather than.
You've been adhering to his advice for years without even realizing.
Exactly, I know. So you say, are you absolutely sure that I need to run? There's nothing wrong with you. Are you absolutely positive? So that's the. It's funny. Libby was saying, because I was saying, like, why can't you hire people to like move the mats that cause this problem? Like, why can't you hire someone to go into a stable and things like that? I mean, it's a very kind of niche thing to do.
Yeah.
But surely it's just someone who's like a normal removals person. It's no different from
someone married to like the Bean Queen. They'd be like the
exactly the Bean Queen. The Bean Queen needs to get like some heavy, to do this stuff. Like, and Olivia was like, well, who would pay for that? Who would pay for that? I'm like, I fucking would, because she goes, well, it's going to be quite expensive to do that. I'm like, so far I spent £200 on fixing my back that I could have, anything less than £200 and I'd have been quids in, and we wouldn't have had this issue. So yeah, it's at that stage now where I'm going back and apparently I can start running again. So just in time for the complete awful weather and downpours that make it just absolutely fun to run during
We've got to get you ready for our spring marathon. I don't know which one we're doing yet, but
what spring marathon? Are there any marathons in the spring anymore? Have they all moved to September?
Well, I mean, we've had another race cancelled this morning.
Oh really? What one?
I'll see if I can find it. A half marathon that they can't afford to do it. And so, but they've said they're going to do it next year. That's the weird thing. I've lost it in my newsfeed now. It wasn't a significant enough one that I thought, oh, hello. But it was almost.
The great thing is, next year, everything's going to be cheaper.
Oh, indeed. And we're going to have much more money to spend.
Exactly. We'll have more income that we could just splash anywhere. There'll be, there's a possibility there might be a lot more volunteers. A lot of people with nothing to do as well, if the forecasts are anything to go by. Yeah, indeed.
Well, I'm slightly broken myself, but
are you? Why?
From always too much running, because
oh fuck you.
Well, I've never actually gone from almost zero to hero. Not that I was a hero, but in such a short amount of time. So I had a week where I was ill and not running at all.
Yeah.
And then to go to film Golden Trail finals. Last year, the final was one race. So you film for a stage. This year, we had 5 back-to-back stages.
Oh, wow.
And I'm one of the camera runners now, because they've believed my bluff that I'm back fit and healthy. And so you're having to run at not only the fastest trail runners in the world's speed on technical terrain, but because it's the finals, they've put in segments like an uphill crown, a downhill crown, and a sprint crown. And so we're having to film the runners who are out of the reckoning thinking, sod it, I'm going to go for the 600-meter sprint. And you've got to film them on single track tight corners, back and forth every day for 5 days. So, yeah.
So you're saying that actually you should have been in contention for those as well.
Well, I did one of the segments. I mean, there's a cameraman. There's a couple of the camera guys actually who was super fast. And if you watch back at the highlights, because we did a live show each night, so there's five live shows where we come down off the mountains with the footage. It then has to be copied, downgraded, edited, all in time for that night. And you'll see
downgraded. What? You adding your presentation?
Exactly. Get my face in it. And but the one of the runners, Fleury, he was doing about half of everyone's sprint each time. And Robin was running up with Remy, who was setting the uphill records, because he was just so fast. He could do it in his race, and most people couldn't really take him down on a segment, even when he's just racing. And he'd film him nearly all the way. So yeah, they were super quick, and it's just quite fun in some ways. Oh, I mean, it's so fun, but I've never done sprint training 5 days in a row in my life. I've never done like 2 days sprint training really. So this is like a mini MDS for me. And
so wait a minute. So you've gone from like being injured all this time to not doing some running because you're feeling unwell, and then you've basically been doing, the most extreme type of interval training that you can possibly do in one of the most extreme locations for this type of thing.
Yeah.
How much money did you give to your physio and everyone else over the period of time they said that you were injured? Either they've done an incredible job, or you've got some kind of like psychological trick that's not working. How do you feel? How does your long-term injury feel?
The injury was aching. I've got to say that on day 2, but it's okay at the moment. It's hanging on in there. It was more my hamstrings. By day 5, I was hovering around because I just was ragging it.
Well, you're not like a competitor, though. It's like competitors go, "Oh, I'm going to drop out of this. I can't do this," or can go, this is your job now. Like you can't, and so I think there's a certain element to it where I think because it's your job, it just brings another dimension to it that forces you to do something. It's almost the best thing to do. Like the year where I did the most amount of, like the couple of years I did the most amount of running is when I was obviously working for a running magazine, and I had to do those things in order to get paid. And and it totally broke me. But it was there's a certain earthiness to
there's like
if you're not gonna eat unless you run.
There's a down pit honesty to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that that puts us in the same thing as East African runners who are running for their livelihood type thing. But I would say that it is it does add a dimension that. All of a sudden, the excuses are like, I don't know, I just don't feel up to it today, or
yeah. And are cameramen allowed to dope? That kind of.
I think there is actually a market there for. Yeah. There's a whole strata of people. With them, I was thinking about this because we were talking about David Brown, weren't we? And about on a previous episode, and about people coming round to his house while we were on the interview to do the dope testing. I was like, did we ask about whether his guide runner is tested as well?
It was Jerome, wasn't it, the guide runner? I don't think we did ask.
No, I mean that would be the way to do it, wouldn't it?
That's such a good angle to market your series as like, our footage is so good because we dope to the max.
We don't.
All of
we
our cameramen.
We bring in what's it called? The guy from Icarus. We brought him in as our team doctor to ensure that we are every second, every detail is captured.
Our cameramen would win these races. They're so doped up.
And they're so doped up. Something you said there, which you've now got a much better perspective in, which is something I didn't realize when I did the Transalpine.
Yeah.
And I think if you do like multi-stage races in Europe, particularly when they have like different teams that are competing, is the importance of the stages, winning individual stages, and also those kind of stage challenges within it. Like when I did that, I couldn't understand why some people were going out really hard on some days and then kind of ending their whole race. But it was important for them to like win a stage for their sponsorship, so that they could say that they won a stage. And it was just, there was some like really kind of strategic and tactical stuff being done, which didn't make any sense at the time. I was like, what? But why would you do that? Like, and then you found out, because their sponsors want to be able to say these things, and so they were never really going to be competing in the longer race, and then these kind of things. Like, does that happen a lot in terms of the Golden Trail stuff?
Not this year. The challenge was because I've done a diary where I've gone into quite nitty detail about some kind of insights.
Is it just you heavy breathing going?
Just so fast. There's another one. Jesus.
Oh, go guys! Is it just? It's like a Radio 4 kind of play where it's so bad that mummy. Yeah,
but because they're always slightly toying with the format, and so COVID's kind of had an impact 2 years ago, and the idea, the concept, I think, was 1 year they finish with one race, like a final. And the next year they alternate, finishing with a 5-day series. And it's always slightly challenging because this year they've got the world champs is this weekend. And so some of the athletes are also running the world champs. And you'll hear about Ali McLaughlin, who is super fun. We had to get a podcast. She turned up with 6 different fancy dress outfits. To a 5-day stage race, and she won 2 of the stages, and on one of the stages she got lost. But so you've got this balance where some of the athletes are going into ski training, and they're kind of that's their first sport, and so there's a conflict there between not wanting to just destroy yourself. Some of the athletes have come in having joined the series quite late, so they're out of the running overall in points, and therefore it's not as important for them to score loads of points to go up a few places, because it's not going to make significant difference to their finances. So actually there's a few people that didn't do every day, but there was only really 3 athletes I can think of that intentionally skipped days, because the structure of the points was, if you came 10th 5 days, you'd score more points than if you came 5th 3 days, and if you came 5th 5 days, you scored more points than if you won 3 days. So actually it did reward you to run consistently. But the nature of the races was, some people got disqualified from a day for not bringing their poles down, or these silly rules that people just hadn't read the rules properly, which then meant they were
bringing their poles down.
Yeah, if you start with poles, you've got to finish with poles. You can't kind of take them up and dump them.
Where did they put them? Just left them on the trail?
They just hand them off to someone. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think in skyrunning it's allowed. That's what I can assume. Yeah, because it was a skyrunner, is Manu, who unfortunately did it. Not intending to break rules, but just didn't know the rules. And then everyone's like, "Oh crap, we've got to enforce this," but no one wants to. And ... And so from the second day, you've got the day one, no one's really going for the segments other than the people who've been in previous years. And they were nearly all won by the fastest athletes because they were the fastest on the course.
Yeah.
By day two, when you've got the national series people there, and you've also got the runners in the international series who are suddenly like, oh crap, there's no point in me going for this overall competition anymore, who then just jog around and take on those segments.
Right.
And it's super fun because you don't really get any footage other than like a 30-second clip, genuinely seeing a world-class athlete take on a 600-meter up, down, flat of trail as fast as they can. And it's incredible to see. Because UTMB, when we watch Killian's so super fast, but Killian, the shortest distance we really see him racing down trail is 30 kilometers. And that's such a different speed to if you're doing 600 meters.
Yeah.
So I think day three was that they did a 6K time trial with segments in it in one of the most beautiful locations to film. And it's just trail porn from start to finish. They're running through these trees. And because the cameramen they know the course a little bit and they're super quick, you get to genuinely see what it's like to move at these speeds. So it's just such good footage.
Are there any trainee camera people at these things who are just a little bit too slow, who are just like keep missing shit?
Me. Genuinely me. But even so, Danny Marino, and unfortunately she took a drip on day two, which means she's out of the series. And so on day three she came and filmed, and that was really cool to hear from her what it was like to actually, most top end athletes don't get the chance to film, but then even for her, she was like, oh my god, I'm having to do sprints, and she's not used to that. So it's really I won't talk too much about Madeira because I've talked so much about it on the diary, and there's so many stories in there, but I just it's weird. There's very few things that I come out of it just really believing in it and just thinking this is brilliant for the sport. And I just hope it continues in the same format and everything. I just hope it can grow and reach that next level, because it's almost like it feels so close to the cusp of being on on TV screens, like really getting better prize money so that everyone does it. And this year it was almost with the world champs, with other conflicts in races, you didn't, and UTMB still stuck in the middle. You didn't quite get the series you wanted of everyone coming together, the best in the world. I mean, by the finals, it was amazing, and I think we did get the best in the world in the women's. But yeah, it's when the episode comes out, go and watch it. It's just fantastic. But I've got quite a few notes here on.
Oh, go on. What's happened in the world of running? Because I haven't. I was trying to think. Well, yeah, what has happened? Because
firstly,
I've not seen anything.
Following up on what we said before, British cycling chief stepped down 3 weeks after.
Yes, that's what I saw. Absolutely, I was like, that is the power. That is the power of BBR.
I mean, that's pretty comforting, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. Like, I mean, it's funny when you read down his list of things that he's been responsible. You're like, wow, that is a quite disastrous reign.
What else has he done? I just.
There was just. I think.
How long has he been in for?
There was just a bunch of decisions, and it was all. It was, even though British cycling. It's against the backdrop of British cycling is still massively successful, and that, I think that's the crazy thing about it.
So apparently he said during the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, strongly recommended that people should not ride their bikes.
Yeah,
which is quite weird, isn't it?
It was
It's
one of
very
those
specific.
things. It was one of those things that you just thought you're stepping into this.
Why
to
are you
try
talking? Like,
yeah, exactly. No, but you're stepping into this to try and be relevant. It felt, what he did, it felt like I need to say something because the Queen has died, and what's the only thing I can say? Well, like, because I think what he was trying to do is the fact that people. I mean, did you ever see that? Did I show you that picture of the council that closed the bike racks during the period of mourning? There was a council that closed the bike rack and put a sign on it that if you put your bike here during it, it will be removed. Because they couldn't monitor the bike racks because they didn't have the staff. You're like, well, but if you've got the staff to remove them, then surely the same staff can make. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, so I think that was the thing. Is he just pissed off everybody within? I mean, he should be a hero to us because he pissed off more cyclists than I think anyone else has done over a large period of time. But yeah, I think it was that, and it was also the Shell partnership as well.
This has been a year of spectacular incompetence from leaders, isn't it? It's incredible.
This should, on its own, this should destroy every single conspiracy theory, shouldn't it? Because like the thing is, people, all these conspiracy theories people have about the New World Order and the Great Reset and stuff like that. You're like, let's just. Project managers say this all the time. Like, people that conspiracy theorists are not project managers, because as a project manager, you can't even get 5 people doing something. The idea that you have this like global conspiracy, and I think it's really blown open the fact that there is just so much incompetence,
and even the fact Meta is going so badly.
Yeah,
like Meta and his metaverse and all that. I mean,
it's just.
The Twitter takeover.
The thing is, what it actually shows you, and I think this is something that came out as a result of the disastrous few days that Liz Truss was in charge, is that in terms of government, for example, that there is an elite that runs the thing, and it's called the civil service. And thank fuck for that,
and the markets.
Yeah, exactly. It's like thank fuck for that, because those things stepped in. To make sure that there was like an element of spirit. I mean, people talk about chaos, but that's not real chaos. Like chaos is an ex-president marching on fucking Capitol trying to bring down the government. I mean, that's like a new level game. But it kind of goes to show that there is this baseline that when things get so ridiculous and chaotic, there's this kind of baseline that everything falls back to. Even like MPs go, right, even we know that this is a massive fuck up, and we're not going to let Tory members vote for a new MP, for a new PM, because we can't trust them on this one. So every kind of like everyone just kind of goes, okay, well, we just go back to but the same thing with all of these things, like everyone, the level of incompetence and the level of stupidity and the level which people have done stuff has just. But it's good. But you're like exactly said. This is good. This is stuff's happening. Alex Jones, recently, Alex Jones being like fucking done for how many $390 million. Like all of this stuff's coming back.
Way more. It
was ridiculous. I think that was just the first tranche, wasn't it? Like. But all the idiots are finally getting their comeuppance, and they're being.
That's not good for us, mate. That is not good for us. But
oh shit! I didn't build that into it.
But so I've got quite a few mini topical ones, but I thought I'd mention because we had a last minute interview with Stephen Scullion, which comes out in a couple of weeks, and we've mentioned this in that. So. There's the third member of Kipchoge's pace team has been done for doping. Like that's quite a high hit rate.
The proximity, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's. I mean, I know. I'm just I say that, but I mean, it doesn't then mean anything, of course.
No,
but it's the proximity that just it's worrying.
It is worrying, and you'd especially as you'd assume the controls around it and ensuring it would be fairly high, and like we need to make sure these guys are cleaner than clean. But yeah, it's another Kenyan, Kip Serem, and he's got a 3-year ban, Marius Kip Serem, and EPO was found in a sample in August. So yeah. So I'm just putting that in there because that's relevant, and we talk about it, and the fact that over 200 Kenyans have now been done since 2017, which it's impressive when a country has more dopers than we have reasonable runners. Like, can you imagine try and name 200 British long distance runners? I could get to maybe.
I love the way that you said reasonable. Not even elite, just reasonable. I know what you mean, comparison wise.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
Exactly. I think. Are you trying to posit a strategy? Trying to suggest a strategy here? Like,
I think we should roll the dice.
Are we just really shit at doping? Is that what you're saying? Are we just actually? We used to be world class in this thing. We need to get back. Is it one of these things that we should have invented and now we've exported it and now other people are much better at it than us?
I think it's almost like the kamikaze approach. You just fling hundreds of people and some of them get through. So I think maybe we need to be
saturation
doing all of that.
bomb when it comes to doping.
Yeah,
isn't that entirely the Russian?
They can't ban everyone. They can't ban. I mean, so but the one with Stephen's super interesting because he's talking about he's just almost numb to it. It feels, but his point was like how many people are getting injured or how many people are following training programs because they're trying to run times thinking it's normal when it's not. It's people who are all doped up to their eyeballs doing these things, and actually maybe it's not possible. But also another controversy: Beer Mile World Classic moves to Belgium, and the venue doesn't allow bottles, so they had to use cans.
Well, I mean,
you think they'd check, wouldn't you?
Fucking hell! Like what?
Yeah. And
it's like, we decided to move it to Utah.
Is that how few? Is that how few tracks there are in the world now? That they couldn't find one that allowed bottles. So,
I mean, who didn't do the due diligence on that one?
So, what I like about it is the representative of the Beer Mile, the Beer Mile's chief chug officer, Chris Robertson, had to tell Food and Wine about it. I love the fact. Is that Chris Robinson, who was former world champion? I think. Have we interviewed Chris Robertson? No, maybe not. Think of someone else.
No, I don't think we have.
No, chief chug officer. That is the one job. Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. So yeah, the times are all slower. So Corey Bellamore, legends.
They've got a bit. They have got. I mean, even the track where we went had an issue with bottles and how where you put the bottles and stuff. They were kind of very iffy about. You couldn't take a bottle on the grass or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is, do we need specific beer? Training and athletics setups that are specific to beer running.
Yeah, we need dedicated stadiums.
Dedicated stadiums for that.
Absolutely. And did you see world record for backyard ultra?
Wow. Oh, no, I didn't see that at all. What? No, I didn't.
Wow! Like, how many miles do you think they're up to now?
I can't even remember what the record was before.
So it's always seems to be is it the Belgians again? I think it. Yeah, a lot of talk about Belgium. Belgians again. So Marion Gertz, who who's won it before, and Evo stayed. Maybe Evo was the person who ran with them. They didn't. Neither of them won, but they got to 101 laps. It's insane. So you're looking at what, 416 miles, is it?
How long did that take?
Well, it's 4 days straight. It's just unbelievable. And they stopped together because, so technically they didn't win because you only win if you're the last person standing. But after 100, they were like, yeah, let's do one last one together. Now that is just a level of tiredness that we've not really seen tested in sports that I can think, getting to that stage. And it also, this is weird now where it's becoming a sport where you almost don't want it to get further than that because it's too much, right? It's too big an ask of athletes.
I think the difficulty is that a lot of them are seeing backyard ultra as an athletic endurance event. I think that they need to work harder on the mental game. I think, this whole quitting together type thing. I think you go, yeah, we'll quit together, absolutely, and then
you leg it. Yeah.
They go, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go to the toilet. Do you want me to go and get you something? And then then what's it called? The next lap starts again, and you're there, and that's it. I think there has to be there's too much niceness in these backyard ultras, isn't there? It's all very supportive and stuff, and we need to bring some element, that kind of battle that you had with Greg, you versus Greg.
Exactly. Bring it back.
Don't you think? I think like the idea of what was it? I can't remember what it was I watched. There was something that it was like that, and it was like tricking people. Like when
the mole.
When you go to assessments, you go to like assessment centers, and you're doing an assessment center or an assessment day when you're going on a graduate scheme, and you've got a bunch of other dickheads in suits and stuff. And you're going, I'm not putting up with this bullshit and stuff. I'm not doing this and everything. I don't know if this is for me. And they're all going, yeah, I agree and stuff like that. And then but you're just doing it to kind of like bring their level down and just to make them feel as though this isn't the opportunity that they want and that kind of stuff. Just the usual mind games that you have to play in that kind of thing. I think you need to bring an element of that to running because it's all. Everyone keeps talking about how nice the ultra community is, and I think you could take advantage of that.
And we're the people to fuck it up if fuck up.
I just think there has to be like a new level. Like you say, it's got to a ridiculous stage. Like if you are
going out thinking I've got to do 100
laps, someone's doing something wrong.
Yeah, imagine that though. Thinking I'm here, not stopping for 4 days straight. I've not done a 24-hour race yet. I can't imagine 4 days and then telling work,
where are you? I'm still running.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. And they finished the last lap with 10 minutes to spare. So they clearly could have carried on. So are we at the stage of like, well done, guys. Now it's too much. We can't continue this. But just incredible. I'm half tempted to see if we can get him over for the run show to talk about it.
I do think it's one of those ones where I don't know. It goes either way. We always talk about, it'd be good to hear what someone's strategy is about, doing that. But also that could be really fucking dull.
It could be, but
because I don't know. Do people want to know?
I think there's a fascination.
Yeah, I think there is. I think you're right. I think there is a fascination with it.
Well, do-badders, let us know. Should we get him for the run show? Should we try and get Mary?
I think they'd be good. I definitely think they'd be good because it'd be interesting to see like what is going through their minds because I'm kind of joking about the mind games type thing, but you must be at a stage where that is what is your mental game at that point?
Yeah. Well,
you're just on autopilot and you just don't give a shit like, and that, which is why you kind of quit. You've got in your head 100 laps. That is that is in my head, and I'm not going to go beyond that, because it sounds like they could have kept going.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Well, well done, guys. I mean, I was impressed by the last record, let alone this. Well,
but it's there for the taking. It's there for the taking. That's the thing.
Indeed,
you just need to be bankrolled by someone, so you don't ever need to work.
And am I right in thinking the running club are putting one on?
I have no idea. Year? Are they?
I believe so.
Or are they tagging along to someone else's? And
no, I think they're thinking of putting their own one. But
really,
yeah, it'd be good.
Oh wow.
Well, we've got a bit of feedback, so we've had quite a bit of feedback on quartz, actually. As you'd imagine, it's so we've had one from Ivor Hewitt, and I forgot how long the email was.
Skip to the end.
Yeah, and I think his point. So I take it from the email. Ivor is American, and he was saying actually what he I guess he finds quite challenging about quartz is that it's almost the history of the people who founded it. It's almost like they're this self-appointed few individuals from Trail who've come and said, we now know what's best for you. And there isn't that real it's not very clear how they've come to their decisions.
It has a certain Gallic flavour to it. The self-appointed arbiter of standards.
Yeah, but he's been pointing out some situations where, for example, where people need painkillers to be able to function. So, for example, people having extreme period pain, taking painkillers, and
is quartz sexist? Is that the headline?
Well, we've had with Golden Trail a couple of seasons ago. One of the runners just had a nightmare because she has and I can't remember the name of it now.
Endometriosis.
Endometriosis, and so she'd get really bad period pain and couldn't take painkillers and couldn't be on the pill either to try and control it. And so it's really harsh. And so there are winners and losers to this and not everyone who's using these drugs, TUEs or painkillers are cheating. And but I think the ethos behind it is more, if someone can use it to cheat, then we can't allow athletes to have it. But he said he found the messaging and communication fairly distasteful and a little bit big buggery of like, we know better than you how to look after yourself. So really interesting feedback.
Americans love that.
Yeah.
They absolutely love that. I can see why they've taken it in with such in their arms and run with it.
But it's quite a contentious topic because Robert Landman messaged in, and he was wondering whether he suggested maybe in races you should put an asterisk next to people's names if they've taken TUEs for big races. So maybe the prize money isn't as high if you're someone who has to take it, or and he was suggesting the same spirit of having like a wheelchair division, or the trouble is it would just get lost in the confusion of it wouldn't be it would just lead to more confusion, I think. But yeah, we asked in the group who knew of quartz. I've not actually checked the feedback yet, so this could be an empty conversation. It could have kicked off. Let's see what happened. So the post, I can't find the post. We'll talk about it in the future. Well, I think that's been a nice catch up, nice reunion for the bad stuff.
We've talked cycling, we've talked doping, we've talked about Madeira. it's all the key. What your injury? It's all the key things. We hit all the key beats that someone would expect of a bad.
And
stuff.
even mention the Bean Queen. And so, if you want to
mention the Bean Queen,
if you want to leave a review, please write Bean Queen in your review. Get it in there in context in some way, whatever your review may be. That is your buzzword bingo for the day, Bean Queen. And we're now at the stage where I'm back from Golden Trail, so I can actually start getting organised in my life a little bit. So if you've got suggestions for guests, let us know. We're quite low on interviews. We've almost run out we normally have a little cluster that we can call to if a guest doesn't turn up. Sadly, we've had a guest not turn up twice in a row, the same guest. So they're on very thin ice. So yeah, any suggestions of people to interview, topics to interview, then do message through. We do get them on, as you see with Stephen Scullion. That was a suggestion from a couple of listeners.
Yeah, it was great. That was great. Absolutely loved that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Coming up, we've got Christian. In fact, it might just come out. Christian, who runs the third attempt. He's done 3 attempts at the Appalachian Trail record. He's still going for a 4th, we believe. Really interesting to get into his headspace of just being so dedicated and focused on one thing in your life, and the belief of like how you can continue going for this by using your will of force to try and overpower your body, it seems.
4 days on a backyard ultra is nothing compared to how many? It's like 2 months.
Yeah
2 months and then still not doing it and still not completing it.
And his conclusion is he needs to sleep more, like sleep on trail more rather than sleeping in a tent. Like, wow, you've got to make it harder.
Do you know what this needs? More discomfort.
Yeah,
I absolutely. This needs more discomfort. It to be a worse experience. I think that's the key to making this work. Little tip for everyone: if that's the key to making anything work, you shouldn't be doing it in the first bloody place.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. Hats off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do we have any merch, sir?
We do. We're getting to that period because we've got the run show coming up in a few months, which I think I don't know if we're in a position to start talking about who our guests are going to be on the Ultra Zone.
Absolutely,
but we're gonna be bringing out some new merch for the run show as well, which I think you're going to really like. And of course we'll have all the mugs, everything else as well. So if you want to pre-order stuff as well, you can pre-order that and then collect it at the run show. You don't have to pay the postage for that. But yeah, if you want to, I think there is some merch left. We're just going through that period where we're switching over from the old merch to the new merch. So there is some merch left if you want to go and grab that. And then we're gonna roll out some new stuff, which I think would be very exciting. And
off the back of Christian's episode where he talks about everyone having a trail name if they're on the Appalachian Trail. Question in the group is going to be, what would your trail name be and why?
Well, yeah, what would your trail name be? What would our trail names be? We need to think about that. I'm sure do-badders can come up with suggestions. Yeah, absolutely. So message us, let us at badboyrunning.com or Instagram or David at or Jody at, and we'll see you guys next time. See you later. Bye 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 bye.
Fuck you, buddy.